using playing cards attached to magic gum as a deadly weapon, or blasting opponents with a high voltage yo-yo. Such crazy powers can truly only exist in Hunter x Hunter, a story whose power system is often considered the best in all of anime. And today we will break down and explain everything, starting with the most basic element of Hunter x Hunter's power system: aura. Much like chakra in Naruto, ki in Dragon Ball, or even cursed energy in JJK, aura is pretty much the life energy of the Hunter x Hunter universe. From a tiny blade of grass up to the pinnacle of evolution itself, Meruem, every living being contains such aura. Now, to actually be able to do any of the crazy feats that characters like Netero or Hisoka later do in the story, you've got to be able to control your aura to begin with, and to do this, you have to unlock your own aura notes. Now, these are basically just spots on the body that let someone release their innate energy, and you can kind of imagine them like pores on your skin. Now, in order to actually open an aura node, you can go through one of two options. There's the natural approach through years of training and meditation, but let's be honest, only lame guys do that one. What we're all looking for is the forced initiation. Sounds great, not scary at all. Now, this is where the real beasts of this world learn to access their aura really early on. It's actually a quite risky life or death type of process where an aura user forcibly unlocks a non-aura using person, exploding their aura nodes on their skin. The good news is, if it works, you now have got aura, but if it doesn't go well, you, well, sort of, but hey, that doesn't happen to any of our main characters like Gon or Killua, and really that's all that matters, so don't think about it all too much. All right, so we've now got ourselves some aura. Now what? Can we summon giant Buddha statues and start teleporting? Wait, chill. Not quite. To do any of that truly crazy stuff, you now have to learn the techniques of Nen. Now, if you're at all familiar with Hunter x Hunter, Nen is probably a word that you are used to hearing a lot. And I mean a lot. This is the equivalent to jutsu or curse techniques in this franchise. Essentially, it's aura control in a bunch of different forms. Now, the really basic principles of Nen are relatively simple and can be broken up into 4 different parts. There is Ten, Zetsu, Ren, and Hatsu, and pretty much everything you see characters like Leorio or Kurapika do basically resolves around these types of techniques, so let's break them down, starting with Ten. In a nutshell, Ten is simple aura control and involves a user keeping their own aura around them and not letting it overflow out into the rest of the world. Now, since everyone and everything in Hunter x Hunter has an aura, it kind of just usually pours out of people, kind of like body odor or sweat. Now, it's not quite as stinky, but it's kind of just as annoying if you can't control it, if you get what I'm saying here. Ten is essentially learning to use deodorant and body spray to keep all of that sweat and stink contained inside yourself. But the next principle, Zetsu, goes to the extreme. You see, aura is something that can be tracked, followed, and shows people in general just how strong you are. You've got to be able to completely hide it in order to not be a walking like sign, here I am, I'm this strong, please, if you're stronger than me, like kill me or attack me or take my stuff. And that is the art of Zetsu. It completely suppresses one's own aura so nothing leaks out at all. Now, this is actually kind of risky and also makes you vulnerable, but it also makes you incredibly stealthy. For example, assassins like the Zoldyck family use this to move in silence, and we even see Gon and Killua try and use it to avoid Nobunaga during the York New City arc. And now, if Zetsu is an aura shut-off valve, then Ren is basically breaking a hole into the dam with a pickaxe. Instead of containing all of your aura, Ren is forcibly outputting more aura than regularly. It's kind of the ultimate aura flex, and it is used for actually quite a variety of reasons. For one, it makes someone stronger, enhances their senses, and can even be used to emit incredible bloodlust and fear out into the world, which is something characters like Hisoka or Illumi Zoldyck use all the time because, I mean, they clearly need to see a therapist, and that seems to just be some weird thing that they keep on doing. Like Hisoka during Heaven's Arena here when he meets Gon and Killua, or Illumi when basically anyone threatens his family. Aw, what a sweet older brother, and what a terrible pervy psycho clown. Anyways, I know what you're all here for though, and that's of course hatsu, the personal expression of one's nen. And it's at this point where the crazy abilities actually come in. In a nutshell, a user's hatsu reflects their own goals, desires, and also personality, from Killua and his lightning aura and Godspeed technique to Morel and his smoke manipulation. The art of hatsu is incredibly diverse and versatile. And no doubt, it is absolutely what gives Hunter x Hunter the most diverse and detailed power system in the history of shonen anime and manga. Okay, Manu, I get it, you get some cool powers, but what about that is so super unique? Well, and I'm super glad that one of you definitely just asked that question. Hatsu is broken up into 6 different subcategories, and these are displayed on this actual really handy looking little nen chart right here. At the top, we have enhancement, aka using aura to boost your own physical stats or that of other objects. Then going around clockwise is transmutation, which is changing the properties of aura to match something else, like turning it into fire, or the infamous bungee gum, which, in case you did not know, has the properties of both rubber and gum. I know. And next up then is conjuration, which is summoning objects from pure aura like Kite's random weapons or Chairman Netaro's 100-armed, massive and incredibly potent Buddha statue. Then next up is specialization, which, as the name suggests, sort of breaks the mold here and has a quite unique effect, like say copying other people's techniques, or having 100% power output in all other categories like Kurapika. And then after this, we have manipulation, which is using aura to control, animate, or also inanimate objects like Illumi Zoldyck, who controls people's minds. And then finally, we have emission, which is projecting aura out and detaching it from your own body. Like Gon's paper is a perfect example of just straight up pure emission. Okay, but now here's the thing. The placement on this chart is actually insanely important because it determines how likely and effectively you can use each of these powers right here, because yeah, even though you're born proficient in one part of hatsu, you can absolutely still use the other ones, and honestly, most of the fun and really wild techniques in this franchise exist because you have to combine various hatsu types together to form a unique ability. So for the next part, please bear with me as I try to make this as simple and easy to understand as possible. Basically, whatever you start with is the technique you have the capacity to actually use at 100%. And then the skills next to it, you can be roughly 80% efficient at, and then the form next to those is roughly 60%, and then finally, whatever skill is opposite of you has a maximum of 40%. But, of course, there must be an exception, which is specialization. Now, you can't really use that unless you're born with it or evolve into it later on in life. Okay, let me give you an example, and that should hopefully help everyone follow along here a little bit better. Let's say I am an emitter. That means I can use that at 100%, and then I would be able to use enhancement and manipulation at 80%. Now, I can't use specialization, but transmutation is something I'm 60% efficient at, and finally, since conjuration is the exact opposite of me, I can use that at roughly 40%. I hope that makes sense. Okay, I do know that hatsu is quite a lot to get through, but I do promise there's only 2 really big things left here: dual affinities and constraints. Now, dual affinities are actually pretty simple to explain, and we will use our good friend Killua to explain them. Thank you so much for demonstrating, Killua. You see, just because you're given one main type of hatsu, most major characters actually fall kind of in between the segments of the 6-pointed chart. It's kind of a fluent thing here. And Killua is a prime example of this, being a transmuter enhancer. He transmutes his own aura into lightning and then enhances his own body. body with it. That's of course what creates his signature Godspeed Hatsu, where he overloads his system and can react at lightning fast speeds to everything. Essentially, dual affinity is just the process of using two major groups to accomplish your goals at similar levels. Now, constraints though, that's where the world-breaking things actually start happening. Essentially, Nen is a little bit silly, I guess, and by that I kind of mean that the more complicated or the more specific you make the activation requirements for your own ability, the greater its power will be. A great example is Crollo and his skill Hunter Bandit Secret, because by using his book and making his opponent do several very specific tasks, he can literally steal their Hatsu from them. Which is of course an incredibly broken power, but it can only be done if all the activation requirements are actually met. Or yet another great one is Kurapika's Chain Jail, which is a really hard combination of words to say together. Anyway, this ability is incredibly hard to break, and that's because it can only be used on members of the Phantom Troop. A super impressive power that can be used on like 9 people throughout the entire series, but even that has yet another exception, which is when he uses his other ability, Emperor Time. That's because this special ability lets him then use all of his abilities on anyone, but using it reduces his lifespan. So you can kind of see that you can play around even within the restrictions here. Now, that sort of constraint can then also be used to the ultimate extreme, as characters give up the ability to use aura altogether, their specific abilities or body parts, in order to accomplish truly godlike displays of power. And of course, if you've seen the series at all, you know that's exactly what Gon did during his final battle with the Chimera and Pitou. Okay, that was already a lot, I admit. Hatsu sure is something else as a power system, but do trust me, there's a lot more to yet go over in Hunter x Hunter as well, like the advanced Nen techniques, for example. Now, these are definitely not as complicated as Hatsu is and are simply more difficult versions of basic aura control. It's kind of similar to, I guess, advanced Haki in One Piece, if that helps anyone here. So let's start with Gil, which is just boosting aura to a specific part of the body in order to enhance just that specific part. Say, if you want to see really far, you could use Gil on your eyeballs. There's also In, which makes the aura that's being used impossible to see. Kurapika, for example, uses this on his chains to make them invisible to even Nen users. Next up, we have En, which is basically what happens when someone projects their own aura out of their body to create an area of effect type of scenario. Pretty much, it lets someone apply their own aura control to the space around them instead of just their body's own limits. It's basically a Nen domain expansion, only that of course Jujutsu Kaisen got it from Hunter x Hunter, not the other way around. Then there's also Shu, which basically applies basic aura principles to objects. It's a foundation for enhancers, letting people reinforce weapons like swords, shovels, or even baseball bats with their aura. Now, all of these are of course pretty useful, let's be honest, but these next ones are really powerful techniques. The art of Ko combines the main principles to put all of one's aura into one specific body part, leaving the rest of your body vulnerable. If you want, it's essentially an all or nothing gamble on a punch, a kick, or any other form of attack you can think of, but it could, in theory, also be used to completely overload someone's senses if they used it on their ears, nose, eyes, or mouth. And pretty much on the opposite side of that is Ken, which is just reinforced defense at all costs. No output, no damage, just an iron wall of pure aura defense trying to keep yourself safe from whatever monster might be coming at you right now. Now, these are pretty much one-sided, pretty much going all in on offense or defense, but don't worry, if you want to shift the scales a little bit here, you can use Ryu. This technique balances reinforced defense and reinforced offense at different values. That way, instead of going 100 on the one side and 0 on the other, you could also use, say, 30% defense and 70% offense, or 50%, 50%. You know, you get the gist. And yeah, that's it. My comprehensive guide to Aura, Nen, and Hatsu. Thanks so much. Hello? Huh? What do you mean? There is more to Hunter x Hunter than just Nen? No! No. Togashi, you monster! Take a chill pill. Alright, I guess I do have to talk a little bit more about other parts of the Hunter x Hunter power system as well now, starting with Nen Exorcism. Okay, let's imagine someone uses their pesky Nen abilities to, say, curse, restrict, or even remove your hatsu or aura control. First off, that would be very, you'd be kind of pissed if that happened to you, right? Like, something that Kurapika also literally does to Chrollo. Well, that's it, right? He can't use his aura now, ever. That's where a Nen Exorcist comes in quite handy. Now, this technique allows someone to remove Nen or constraints applied to someone else, and it's an incredibly rare technique, and only a real small handful of characters can even use it in the story. But what's worse than even getting your Nen taken away? Say, what if you just can't use any Nen, or it's just, not for you, because you're a hipster or something, I don't know. Well, are you then just out of luck? Well, I kind of, sort of, I won't lie, I mean, you are a little bit screwed. It is Hunter x Hunter, but then early on, we also learned that Nen isn't the only special power that does exist in this world. For example, the Zoldyks teach us that they have special assassin techniques that don't use Nen at all and allow them to accomplish genuinely terrifying, inhuman things. If you want an example, the coolest one, in my opinion, is Rhythm Echo, where walking at a specific pace allows Killua to create haunting body doubles, but he can also turn his hands into claws or move his arms in a weird way to make these snake-like whips that lash at his opponents. Then after this, there's of course also the Sharingan, I mean the Scarlet Eyes of the Kurta clan. These red eyes are activated when a member of the Kurta clan experiences deep, deep anger. Now, as a little fun fact, only 37 pairs of these eyes exist in the Hunter x Hunter world, and they are honestly treated more as a sort of trophy than anything else, but they can actually enhance one's Nen powers, as Kurapika activating his special Scarlet Eyes is one of the constraints for his specialist powers as well. And then, of course, we also have to talk a little bit about the absolute nightmarish things and powers that exist on the Dark Continent. You see, maybe you don't know this, but basically everything in Hunter x Hunter happens in this massive ocean-sized lake with the continents just being islands in a pond, basically, because most of the actual Hunter x Hunter world is really a hellscape known as the Dark Continent. And the powers from there are truly evil and are essentially all world-ending threats by themselves. For example, the Chimera Ants were actually a species from the Dark Continent. These tiny invasive ants can quickly evolve into calamity-level creatures like the Royal Guard and the king, of course, Meruem. Just these beings already possess godlike potential and transcend everything in the regular universe of Hunter x Hunter. There are also beings like Nanika, a demonic spirit that possesses Alucard Zoldyck. It grants wishes, but at immense cost. And if its rules are broken, thousands of people can die, and there's very few exceptions to these monstrous acts. Okay, and now I'm sure that some of you thought that I have forgotten about post-mortem Nen. Well, didn't. It's exactly what it sounds like, basically a hatsu that happens after a user dies. It's normally very powerful as the activation requires, well, the death of the user. Arguably, the coolest version of this is Hisoka's reviving bungee gum, because after he uses his post-mortem ability, this creepy jester literally rubber bands himself back to life. Which, I mean, Hisoka is just such a mood, let's be real. Not to mention that afterwards, all of his Nen is seemingly amplified in strength, so I guess there's just no downsides to this. And then next, the more complex part of this mind-bending power is the Guardian Spirit Beasts. Now, these are essentially Nen beasts bestowed on the royalty of the Kakin Empire. They are invisible and incredibly powerful Nen summons that are given to all members of the royal family during the succession contest. In case you're wondering, this is a competition for the crown, and more so, I guess, a slaughter of the princess, and it is the current ongoing Hunter x Hunter arc. And normally, I do try to keep these videos avoiding dates and times, but let's be honest, Hunter x Hunter may just never finished, and it's pretty safe to say that if you're watching this video, the Succession War is still going on, and as you can see, the Hunter x Hunter world gets really complex, but I do hope that this video helped you a little bit, and in fact, if you want to understand yet another really popular series, Insane Power System and World Building, check out this video to learn everything about the new hit series Kaiju number 8. It's a little bit like Attack on Titan meets Godzilla in the future, and the abilities and weapons are some of the coolest things I've seen in anime in a long time. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, leave me a comment. It really makes my day and also really helps out the channel. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.